These families and this poster right here, everyone can see this? Everyone got one, right? This is why we're here today, right? This is why we're having this event. We have a responsibility to these families and to these people on this poster and to the thousands more. This is not just an educational event. This is not just an academic event. People shouldn't come away with this just thinking, oh, I learned some interesting information today. This event is a call to action.
Brown, so, April 14th, April 14th, indict, convict, send those killer cops to jail. The whole damn system is guilty as hell. Indict, convict, send those killer cops to jail. The whole damn system is guilty as hell.
All right, y'all. Right now in this country, we are in a state of emergency. The police are still killing every fucking day, still killing blacks and Latinos all across this country and getting away with it. Just in the month of March, the police killed how many people? 111 people just in the month of March. How many people have been killed in the entire country of Britain, United Kingdom, since the year 1900? Any ideas? Well, she read the same article that I read, right? 52 people. 52. Those numbers are real, y'all. This is the United States just in the month of March killed twice the number of people that have been killed in the entire modern history of England, right? This is shocking. This is horrifying. This should like be a wake-up call for people, right? How many of the cops that do these things, how many of the cops that kill these unarmed people go to jail? How many of them even get indicted, let alone convicted, right? It's not enough to be outraged about this by yourself at home behind the computer screen. It's not enough to just talk about it and analyze it in your class. We have a responsibility to these families that are here with us today and that are on their way to be with us here today, and to the faces on this poster, and to the thousands of more. We have a responsibility to do everything we can to put an end to this nightmare. No more funerals. No more anguished tears from the mothers and the fathers and the brothers and the sisters who have lost their loved ones. It's got to stop, and we got to be the ones to make it stop. It's hard, and we got to stand with the families who have had the courage to be here, who've had the courage to stand up, who have had the courage to fight back, and to fight back not only for justice for their loved ones, but for all loved ones. Right. It's hard. We got to stand with you. You're not by yourself. We got to stand with you. I heard a story last night from this program. You saw some video from this program in New York City. Cornel West, Carl Dix, a bunch of people performing and speaking out, calling for people to come into the streets April 14th. But one of the stories that I heard at this program was about someone who was doing outreach, building for April 14th, using this image, right? This poster with the stolen lives. And a youth in Harlem comes up to this poster and comes up to the revolutionaries who are out there with it and says, when they gun me down, I want my face on that poster. No. We're calling for April 14th. We're fighting back so that his face doesn't have to be on this poster, so that we have a better future for the youth. We're shutting it down April 14th to say no more to the police having a green light to murder black and brown people. We're rising up all across the country on that day together to make it clear that these are not isolated incidents. This is a nationwide epidemic, and also to show that there is a force of people in this country that is determined to keep fighting, to go back out in the streets, to stay out in the streets until these horrors really are ended. And we're going back on the offensive, right? Some people say, protest doesn't work. We went out in the streets and we still didn't get any justice. Some people say now's not the time for protests. How convenient for this system that you think that. This is like quitting the fight after just the first few punches, right? It's not that protest doesn't work. It's that we're up against a very powerful system that relies on the police to do this and requires them to brutalize people, especially black and brown people at the bottom of society, requires them to brutalize them in order to maintain their system of inequality and oppression. And I'm not going to lie though, right? Protest by itself is not going to stop the police from murdering people. That's going to take a revolution. And we're building a movement. I'm part of the Revolution Club. My name is Rafael. Others are here with the Revolution Club. We're building a movement for revolution. But protest gets us closer to revolution. If we don't protest, we all know, right? If we don't protest, if we don't stand up, if we don't fight back, what's going to happen? They're going to continue this. It's probably going to get worse. But just think, we should think about what's actually happened the last 8 months since the uprising in Ferguson, since people took over bridges, took over freeways, shut it down all over the country after the non-indictment of the cops that killed Mike Brown and Eric Gardner. What's been accomplished? Sometimes I feel like people don't really step back and realize what they themselves have accomplished, right? These protests did more to change society than all the past 30 years of police review board meetings, commissions, Department of Justice investigations. First of all, these protests showed before the whole world the hypocrisy of this country, right? This country which likes to go around the world accusing other countries of human rights violations. That likes to go around the world talking about freedom and democracy, accusing Iran and other countries, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, whatever, right? The police, there was that senator in Oklahoma, I think, that made the point. The police, for millions and millions of people in the inner cities, for black people, for Latino people all across this country, the police are ISIS. The police are the real terrorists. These protests showed what people at the bottom of society, those people who so-called thugs, gangbangers, people who get viewed as targets by the system, it showed what they're capable of. They inspire people all across the country, right? People who just a few days earlier were caught up in all kind of nonsense, fighting amongst each other. We saw the pictures, right? We saw Bloods and Crips arm in arm saying, you know what, they fucked up when they killed Michael Brown because they brought us together. We're going to stop all that, and we're going to come together to fight for something that really matters. And then when they sent the tear gas, when they sent the tanks after them, the National Guard, all that, they stayed out in the streets with the courage and integrity and conviction that inspired people all across the country. And even more, these protests showed that when those people at the bottom, when they rise up, they're not alone. There's people who have their back. There's college students walked out. Berkeley, Stanford students took over freeways. You know, all over the country this happened, right? That kind of unity is a nightmare for the oppressors. That kind of unity is they fear that, right? That's why that's why the tear gas, that's why the rubber bullets. They don't want to see that happen. And also the sugar-coated bullets, right? Like, we remember how they changed the first thing they did was they changed the police chief in Ferguson, brought in a black police chief, brought in Eric Holder, do an investigation, tell people what we already know, make people think that Mike Brown deserved to die, like Carl Dix was talking about it. But these protests made it so that the police can't just keep on killing people in the way that they want to do, where they seem like the good guys and the victims are nothing but thugs and animals. No. These protests changed the terms all throughout society and the world. And this is a major but fragile advance. And we can't go back. We can't just go back to our regular lives of slowly relying on the system to do nothing. We have to go forward. This is what April 14th is about. This is why we're here. This is why we're shutting it down. And this is why everyone with a conscience needs to get involved in this. April 14th, shut it down.